there, welcome to our WebQuest navigational video. As you can see, we've chosen Year 5 History as our topic. This focuses on the Australian colonies. So we decided on this topic because it was discussed in class that a common mindset for students when being taught history is, why is it needing to be taught? Because it's in the past, it's already happened and therefore irrelevant, but missing the point that we teach the younger generations about the good and the bad parts of history so we can be sure it doesn't repeat itself. So we both then discussed that we also had this mindset in school and this would be a good topic to tackle when eventually teaching our own students. So here we have the home screen that offers a short introduction to the WebQuest. It includes an acknowledgement of country and a warning to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that they should be aware the website contains images and names of people who have passed. There is a hook video from Horrible Histories called the Australia Song, and then down the bottom is an outline of students' lapbooks that they will create. So all of these resources will be printed at the front of the room that they can just collect, and then they will glue it into their lapbooks as shown and complete the activities as they go along. Down the bottom is a KWL chart as well that they can fill out the first two sections before they dive into any new content, and it is noted for the L part of the chart that they'll come back to this at the end. Work through lessons 1 to 4. They have all the tabs at the top here, as well as our teacher page, our assessment and our references. So moving on to lesson 1, they will complete them all individually and complete the online activities within each lesson and the written activities for their lapbook at the end of the lesson. So lesson 1 is about the establishment of penal colonies. There are learning intentions at the beginning of each lesson along with the content they need to complete for their lapbook, and then early finishes which have games and activities. So for this one they will complete a flip book outlining the who, when, where and why questions about the establishment of the colonies. And then here they will start their crossword as well. There are crossword hints at the end of each page, and then a game for any early finishes. So here for lesson 2, this is about life in colonial Australia. So students will investigate 3 different lives of some who lived in the colonies. So a convict, a child convict and a European settler, and then they'll then choose one for their character profile. So each of the banners here are links that will take them to an external resource for more information. There is an explanation of how they complete the activity for their lapbook, which is a character profile and then a creative writing piece. So they'll write a letter from the point of view of their person to someone that they've left behind in England. And there are some writing prompts here for them to consider in their letters. Their crossword hints to continue on with their crossword in their book, and then the early finisher activity, which is an episode of My Place. So it's Sam, who's a child convict living in 1798, and his daily life. They can also continue reading a class novel, which is My Australia Story, Surviving Sydney Cove by Goldie Alexander. For lesson 3, this is about the important events in this time period. This page gives an overview of the gold rush for all students to learn about, as well as a video outlining the perspectives of First Nations people at this time. Each has an online activity to go with it, which is a match-up activity. So students will then select either the Eureka Stockade here or the Pinjarra Massacre to investigate further. And they will complete a historical recount mini book, which is here for them to know what they need to do. This will then go in their lapbook, and then they will again complete their crossword. So if we go to the Eureka Stockade, this has further information about the specific events that occur during this time, where it is located on the map, and again an early finisher game, which is the Gold Rush game. So lesson 4 has a similar structure to lesson 3, outlines the establishment of the Swan River colony for all students. They then choose one significant person to investigate further. They have their crossword hints, so they can choose Yagan, John Septimus Roe or James Sterling. So if we choose Yagan, these pages then include content about why they're significant, an online activity, and then they complete a fact pocket for their lap books with a mini portrait, which is again shown down here, how it needs to look in their own lap books. They're then prompted to go back to the home page to complete their KWL chart for their last section and another early finisher activity. To our teachers page, we have outlined how this is going to be implemented in the classroom, which would be over the first 4 lessons of the unit as a broad introduction to the topic to gain a foundational understanding of Australia's colonial era. It outlines our intentions for student engagement and learning outcomes throughout the WebQuest. And further down is an outline of which curriculum links each lesson targets. So because this is intended to be a broad introduction to the unit, each lesson targets a different curriculum code and multiple HASS skills with each of the activities it needs to be completed. And then this is an alternative cover for the front page of the lap book that will also be printed at the front of the room. Lastly, we have our assessment page. So this outlines the assessment strategies for each week's lap book activity, how we have implemented differentiation, and the printable resources for the marking checklist at the bottom. So there is a checklist with 3 levels of achievement for each activity, for each student, for the teacher to keep track of their learning. And then our references can be found on the final tab for each resource used throughout the lessons here in a PDF document. So thank you for listening. Happy WebQuesting.